Hello, I'm Ray Davis, family minister of the North Oaks Church of Christ in Santa Clarita, California. Today I want to talk about family traditions. Now, a tradition is an established pattern of thought, emotion, speech, or actions. And traditions can be good, bad, or indifferent. Jesus condemned traditions that usurped God's commands. We find this in Matthew chapter 15, verses 3 through 8. On the other hand, Paul warned Christians not to belittle fellow believers who honored the Lord in traditions different than their own. That's in Romans chapter 14. Now, a good tradition honors God and edifies others. Again, Romans 14, 1 Corinthians 12 through 14. A good tradition can lose its effectiveness over time when it begins to dishonor God or dishonor or disregard others. Now, when families have good traditions, it provides a sense of security, identity, and values. When we think of traditions, it can bond families together, give them a sense of a bigger family than just the mom, dad, and the kids. A good tradition provides a circle of life experiences that create meaningful memories and a sense of timing. I began to think of traditions here recently. One of my daughters has a worthy tradition that I was unaware of until a recent visit. During my stay with her, one of the pet hamsters died. And rather than hiding the hamster's body, burying it without the kids' knowledge, my daughter and her husband called the kids together. They pointed out to the kids the hamster was dead. They hugged, they shed tears together. Then they carefully wrapped the body of the hamster in a paper towel. And they all of them took the hamster's body into the woods beyond their backyard, held a short memorial service, dug a hole, and buried the hamster together. I don't know when my daughter and her husband began this particular tradition. Certainly it wasn't something that my daughter learned from me because I didn't do it that way. But don't you think it's a meaningful way of introducing the inevitability of death while allowing sorrow to be expressed in a meaningful manner and doing so with the whole family together? Now, obviously, this tradition will have to change as my grandkids become teenagers. But don't you think that my grandkids will have a more mature grasp of death and how to deal with it than if my daughter just tried to quietly toss out the hamster and replace it with a live hamster, never letting the kids know? Of course they would know eventually. So, what traditions does your family have? And do these traditions honor God and the blessings He provides? And do your traditions encourage every family member? Does it honor family members? Does it pull them together? I'll give you another example. One tradition that my mother taught my sister and I was to gather out by the picture window, and we would wave to my dad as he backed the car out of the driveway and turned onto the main road and drove to work. We did that every Monday through Friday. As simple as that tradition may seem, it was a good way to instill a respect of my dad in our hearts, and a respect that's still there, even though we don't wave to him anymore. Well, think about your traditions, and we'll talk a bit more about them in lessons to come. In the meantime, God bless.